Hey everyone, Leanne here from Kingdom Blogger. So in this video, I'm going to kind of walk you through Pinterest analytics to help you understand what all those numbers mean and like what should I be paying attention to, okay? It is important to understand that Pinterest analytics are a little crazy. Even sometimes to me, they don't make sense. And when you compare it to your Google Analytics and what it says you're getting from Pinterest, oftentimes it doesn't match up. So I'm going to kind of explain why that is as much as I can explain it, because even some of it I don't understand. Google Analytics is always the place that I go directly to if I'm like, okay, how much am I actually getting? Google Analytics will tell me that because sometimes you can't figure it out by looking at the Pinterest stats. So let's hop over to my account here. So this is my Kingdom Bloggers account. I have three different profiles. And so this is my oldest one. It's very well established. Um, so the first matrix you're going to see is this one right here, 2.1 million monthly views. Now, before you're like, oh, that's a lot. You must get, I do get a lot of traffic, but it's important that you understand what this matrix means. Having a higher number here doesn't completely equal more traffic. Okay. Monthly views means how much reach your pins are getting. Like when you log into Pinterest and you go over here to the home feed, on home feed, all these pins as I'm scrolling are getting monthly views because they're in the view, right? I'm not clicking on them, I'm not clicking through them, but they're being viewed. So the home feed, and then also in the, let's just click on Bible study lessons. So I do a search, all the pins that come up in this feed as far as I scroll, every pin that's in my view is a view. So if I scroll for quite a bit, then there's going to be a lot of views because I'm seeing lots of pins. I'm not clicking on them or anything like that. They're simply being viewed. Now, obviously, it makes sense that the more views your pins are getting, the more reach, that should equate to more actual click throughs, like people clicking them and clicking through to your website. But it doesn't always. Pinterest could put all your pins out there because you're doing the right kind of SEO for the algorithm. But at the end of the day, if your pins are ugly or not engaging, not captivating, or simply your pins are offering something that nobody's looking for, then nobody's going to click on them. The goal here is to get the click. Okay. And so monthly views is a very misleading kind of matrix because it's right there in your face. I get 2.1 million views, but I don't get that much traffic from Pinterest. Why is that? It's because your pins are not worthy of being clicked. And we'll talk about that in a completely different video. But I want you to understand what these numbers mean so that when people are trying to sell you a Pinterest course, for example, and they show you, look how many monthly views I got. I don't care how many monthly views you got. I want to see how much traffic you're getting to your website or to your products on Etsy or wherever from Pinterest, because that's what matters. Okay, so let's hop over to our analytics. And now, Pinterest, just like Google, has its ups and downs. It has updates, algorithm changes, and things like that. A few years ago, probably 2 or 3 years ago, Pinterest did what Google is doing now and just went off the deep end, and everybody's numbers tanked. It's kind of part of the game. Don't freak out. When this happened with Pinterest a few years ago, I actually just abandoned Pinterest for like a year. I was so mad. And I kind of wish I hadn't have done that because had I continued with my normal routine, then for that whole year that I abandoned it, I would have had a lot more content in Pinterest so that fast forward to now when it gets its head out of its, you know what, and starts acting properly, I would have had a lot more pins to be doing something for me. So these numbers, like you see here, are in the red. They're going down. I'm not freaking out. That's normal. It's the normal ups and downs of this game. So I don't really pay attention to this. There are weeks when I log in and it's all in the green going up. There are weeks when I log in, it's all in the red going down. But I want to walk you through what all of this means and how to, like, if you're literally trying to figure something out, how to figure it out. But I will caution you, don't spend too much time in here. If you want to know how much traffic am I getting from Pinterest, you go to Google Analytics, and I will show you how to do that before the end of this video, to find out the actual numbers. But if you want to just get a bird's eye view of how your site is doing, what people are engaging with, and so forth, that's what you'll be able to see here. So this is your performance over time. It's usually a 30-day. So here we go, March 9th to April 5th. That's 30 days. This is my average right here. So about 70,000. That's my average, just impressions on any given day, how many impressions I'm getting from my pins. Now, this here was a spike. This is most likely towards the end of the month is when people start doing a search for Bible reading plans for the next month. So I always have a spike right here almost every single month. So this is impressions. These are just impressions. What I want to know is outbound clicks, because outbound clicks means they're leaving Pinterest and going to a website. So I'm going to click on that one. And so the graph kind of mimics it, but the numbers are lower. So if I look here, impressions on any given day. So let's do this one. So on March 23rd, 226,000 impressions, outbound clicks, March 23rd, 1.6, so 1,600, right? So of all the impressions, all the people that saw my pins, 1,600 clicked on my pin and went to my website that day. That's what that means. Now, let's talk about these other ones. You have impressions, engagement, pin clicks, outbound clicks, saves, la, 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 la. So impressions, I've explained that. Engagement means they sort of clicked the pin, but just to kind of get a closer view, because, let me open another window here so I can just go back and forth. Home feed. Okay. So on a computer, especially, if you're like, oh, let me look at that a little more, I'm going to click on this one here, and it gives you a close up, and I'm like going to read about it. Do I really want to click this? Whatever. So that's sort of an engagement. Or if they, let me click on this, commented on it, they hearted it, any action on that pin is an engagement. Pin clicks, that's when they clicked it, right? I clicked the pin. I didn't click through. I clicked the pin. Saves, people save pins from the feed without even clicking it, especially stuff like, I don't know, verses, quotes, things like that. But maybe they're saving it for later. Maybe they're doing research. Maybe they're looking for recipes for dinner, for example. So they're not going to read the whole recipe right now, but they're like, oh, this looks good. I'm going to save it to my dinner recipe board, or I'm going to save this for later. So that's what saves. Saves are good because if they save it from your profile to their profile, then now the people that follow them will see it in their feed. Okay. So right now, people are seeing it. If they follow my account, they may see it in their feed, but I really want it in the search feed. I want it when people are searching for this particular kind of content for them to find my pin. But you get that compounded by having other people save your pins, because then it goes into the algorithm for their profile, and then it can duplicate the reach in that capacity. Okay. Engagement rate, of course, all these rates are just a percentage of how many impressions versus that number, right? And so of all the impressions, let's see, I think I can see rate down here. We'll do outbound clicks. And so if you see here, for total outbound click rate, it's outbound click rate is the total outbound clicks divided by the number of impressions. So all these other metrics for rate is whatever that number is for that matrix divided by the total number of impressions. Okay, so it's just a percentage. Okay, so we did all of those. All right, so let's go down here. So now you can see This is overall your account as a whole. And then down here, we can look at actual pins. So your top pins, the default's going to be by impression. These are all the pins on your account. This can include, if you are pinning other people's content, it could include that too. In the past years, when I actually pinned a lot of other people's content, some of my top pins were not mine. In my top 5, I regularly had other people's, certain other pins. It was the same pins over and over because they were really good pins. And so this isn't just your stuff. And so this, I want to mention this because I've had people ask me, they're like, hey, my, Pinterest is saying I had this many pin clicks, outbound clicks from Pinterest, leaving Pinterest to a website. But my Google Analytics says I only have this much. And so Pinterest is saying I had this much, Google said this much. Well, chances are that outbound click was to somebody else's website. Again, back in the day, it was really important to pin other people's content. And so it was not unheard of for you to have a top pin that went viral that wasn't yours. Kind of sucked, but that virality actually could help your profile by boosting your other pins a little. So it kind of balanced out. I used to pin a lot of other people's content. I don't do that anymore. I only pin my own content now. Every now and then, like when I create a new board, I will fill it with pins from the feed just to get the board going. But after that, I only pin my content. So that's another video topic. But understanding what the numbers mean in this particular screen, you could have a pin that's not your own that is like your number one pin. So and that's where, because you save somebody else's pin, it goes into the algorithm and flourishes. And that's what I was mentioning before, when somebody else saves your pin. So saves are important because the more people saving your pin, the more chance of your pin being able to go viral by that kind of way. And that same effect could happen in your profile where you've pinned somebody else's content and it goes viral. And so it works both ways. Okay. Now on here, under source, you'll see other pins and your pins. So basically what that means, other pins means, so like this Palm Sunday, your pins is when, so like you publish your blog post, you go into the post and you pin it, or you manually upload it into the Pinterest by manual action. You schedule it through the Pinterest native scheduler, or I think even Tailwind is figured into this. Other pins, even though this is my pin, it's from when somebody else visits your website and saves that pin. And so I'll highlight this here. Pins created and saved by you, plus activity for pins created and saved by others from your claimed account. So again, somebody visited this Palm Sunday blog post and they manually pinned the pin from the post, not from within the Pinterest platform. Now in Google Analytics, sometimes you'll see 2 Pinterest matrix, Pinterest referral and Pinterest organic, I think is what it is. And that's kind of where those numbers come from. I'm not entirely sure exactly how they come up with those matrix, but again, it's you directly inside your account taking action, adding, you add the pin, you add it to your own claimed account that is part of this profile versus other people who visit the website. And this also includes if you've claimed your Etsy through, so with Etsy, if you have a Shopify, things like that, there's a whole integration for that. I don't have that. Or your YouTube, and there's other claimed accounts. So any pins that are saved by other people visiting those sites directly, and then the pin goes into Pinterest. And I just want to say that's really important. Having a good pin for your content is important. Here's proof of that. One of my sites, the Pray for Everything site, when I first started that, I didn't even create a Pinterest account. Okay. I had no Pinterest account even created for the website. And during the first year, I just published content, but every single post had a very well optimized and engaging pin embedded in the post. By the end of that first year, I was getting so much traffic and it was all coming from Pinterest. Now, by the end of the year, I was getting Google traffic, but I started getting Pinterest traffic to the site within the first couple of months because I was putting that pin in there for other people to share it. And then a few of those pins actually went semi-viral. And so a few posts got a lot of Pinterest traffic. So that pin in your post is very important. That's another video. So we'll talk about that and that process in another video. Okay. So again, you can do this by impressions, change it. I really just want to know outbound clicks. I mean, it's great that people are seeing my pins, but what are they clicking on? So this is for the last 30 days. And again, it's a combination of pins I've directly added. So this one and pins other people have pinned from the post. This one seems to be a combination of both. I'm not entirely sure how that figures into the equation. So this is important because this is telling me what my top content is. Like, what are people engaging with the most? Not just the topic, but look at the styles of these pin designs. Like if you have, say, 5 different images for, or 5 different pin, and they're all different designs, but only one of the designs seems to be in your top 10, take note of that design aesthetic, things like that. But more importantly, the topics. You'll see so like obviously He Is Risen, Palm Sunday. This last 30 days is when Easter happens, so it makes sense. 2 or 3 months from now, those 2 posts will be like not in this top 10 list because that's a seasonal content. Now down here at the bottom, you can see your boards. What boards are getting the most impressions? Again, I really only care about outbound clicks. And so this is my Bible verses board, is my top board. And this one is my Bible study. And then this is my blog board. I don't really pin to my blog board anymore. All my new pins, I add directly to the board that makes most sense. But my number 3 board for outbound clicks is still my blog board. So when I do publish a brand new post, I do add the first pin to this board, and then all the others go out. But for all my older content that I'm making new pins for, they all go to the relevant board. And so this will tell you too, of all your boards, which boards are getting the most clicks that lead away from Pinterest to your website. This is what we call, here's your clue, here's your sign. This is an indicator of the type of content you're creating and which boards you're putting them on that are resonating most with the Pinterest algorithm, as well as people, the pinners. And so if you have like 3 or 4 boards here that are getting significant action, but you're spending more time pinning to some other board, stop. Pin to the board that's getting the most outbound clicks, because that's the one that's having more engagement. And so by adding more relevant pins to that board, you can boost the engagement on them. Okay, so that's kind of it. So let me hop over here to Google Analytics because I said I would do that. So you log into GA, you're going to come down here to sessions by session default channel. And then from here, you'll change. So I'm just going to do last 30 days and apply. And then I'm going to come down here to this drop down and change it to session source medium. And so for the same period, last 30 days. So I have number 2 and number 4, Pinterest social, Pinterest referral. Again, I'm not entirely sure about how that matrix is decided. I mean, I add them together. I just want to know how much I got from Pinterest. But I'm assuming the Pinterest referral is Pinterest referring, so people finding my pins in Pinterest. And Pinterest social is through people sharing it and through other people engaging with it. Again, I'm just guessing. I don't know the answer to that question. I've looked it up and I have yet to find a solid answer for that. And then if you go down to more, you'll see Pinterest like CA, Pinterest CA. That's, I think, Canada. And Pinterest, there's some other ones. I don't really pay much attention to those because I just want the US one is the one that's going to send me the most traffic. And so when you add number 2 and 4 together, so that's a little over what, 12,400 out of here. Then when I look at the Pinterest matrix, it doesn't add up exactly. Like it's way off. Pinterest, Google is saying I'm getting way more traffic than Pinterest is saying I'm getting. And so that's where I want you to be cautious of just relying on the Pinterest analytics. It's great to go in there and kind of get a bird's eye view. But at the end of the day, you really want to revert back to Google Analytics, because that is going to be an accurate portrayal of how much traffic you're actually getting from Pinterest. So my Kingdom site gets anywhere from 12 to 16,000 right now, depending on the month. January, it's much higher because I have a lot of Bible reading plans. Let me look at my PFE is growing a lot more than what it used to be. And so for the last 30 days, actually, I could just reshare my screen with you here. Last 30 days apply. And we'll go down to source medium. So Pinterest referral, about 2,400. But when I look at Pinterest, the profile, it's a little bit lower than that. And then that's for prayer. And then my Bible study printables, we'll do 30 days. And source medium, Pinterest referral, about 3,500. And so you see here, Pinterest CA and ZA, these are, again, other countries. I don't really keep track of those matrix. So that's kind of it. Again, it's important that you understand what you're looking at, so you kind of understand if you're doing something right, if you're doing something not right, like if your numbers are just not there at all. But I did, like I said at the beginning, don't spend too much time in Pinterest analytics, because they'll drive you crazy. Like if you think going into Google Analytics is like, oh my gosh, there's so much information. If you know where to go in Google Analytics, it makes sense. But in Pinterest, sometimes it just doesn't make sense. And so I really don't spend much time in there. The monthly views that shows up on your homepage in Pinterest, I do like to keep track of that number, because that lets me know, hey, my reach is big. In other words, there's like my pins are being put out there. But in the last month alone, so about a month ago, I was at like 3.4 million. And over the last 30 days, it's gone down. But I hear the chatter in all the other Facebook groups. Everybody's is going down. You're doing what you're doing. And Pinterest suddenly is like, okay, we're going to take a break and just keep doing all the stuff, but we're not going to keep doing what we're doing. That's normal. You just get used to it. And this is why it's very important. And we'll talk about this in other videos. You have to create a solid Pinterest strategy that has a designated amount of time that you commit to Pinterest every week, or, whatever. Do not get sucked into I'm going to spend 8 hours all day working on Pinterest. There'll be times when you get a return on that, and there'll be times where you keep doing it and Pinterest is like, yeah, I'm not giving you anything today. I'm just going to keep taking. So you have to find a healthy balance of time, create a plan, bulk creating your images, bulk creating them when you make the blog post, so you have all those pins ready. Create using schedulers like Tailwind or the native scheduler to schedule them out if you can't do manual pinning. Pinterest will, if you allow it, Pinterest can be a huge time suck with little to no return on investment. But if you use it correctly, Pinterest can actually be very, very fruitful. I spend this amount of time every week. This is my week. I spend this amount of time with Pinterest, but I prime myself by creating my pins. I have templates. All my pins are already worded for the boards and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not spending a ton of time on it, but I'm also using schedulers and things like that. So anyway, that's all for this lesson. If you have any questions, again, about the analytics, about what they mean, drop your comments below or hop over to my Facebook group. If you hop over to my group, you can ask any and all questions and get live support and things like that. Here on video, you got to wait for me to reply to the video. So either way, I'm fine with, but my goal is to help you learn how to use these platforms to grow your ministry. So let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you guys all in the next video. Bye-bye.